What is next for the New York Knicks following the major discount that Jalen Brunson signed on Friday of this past week? Ian Begley of SNY recently sat down and he kind of went point by point and talked about what could be next for the New York Knicks as you're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Marshall Green. Right to the source, Begley says this, quote, "What's next for the Knicks this offseason? Backup center. Who are they going to get to play backup center to Mitchell Robinson? He's on the roster. He's here now. But, you know, he has a history of getting hurt. So you need a backup center who can start 30 games next season. And I know they've continued to be in touch with Precious Achiuwa, one of their own free agents. I think they've also had casual trade talks about some high-salaried veteran centers on the trade market. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that. The backup five is the next domino to fall for the New York Knicks. And I think it's pretty obvious at this point that the New York Knicks know they cannot enter the 2024 season after giving up control of 6 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges and $200+ million to OG Anunoby to enter the season with the only investment at that center position being Mitchell Robinson. Look, if Robinson is healthy, he is fine. He could be your starting center. But are we going to rely on Jericho Sims as our backup five? Is Ariel Huck-Porty going to be thrown into the fire? I don't think either of those are winning options. And I think Leon Rose, Worldwide West, Tom Thibodeau, and Brock Aller, they 100% agree that another move needs to be made to the backup center position if this team wants to really compete in the Eastern Conference. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because if the Knicks make a move for a big man, we are going to make a video. We put out free, informative, entertaining content every single day on the channel. So if you love the Knicks and you want free videos every day, subscribe to the channel. If Mitchell Robinson is able to stay healthy, he can be a solid center in this league. We've already seen him compete against some of the best big men that this association has to offer. He did a really good job against Joel Embiid in the playoffs last year, made the big man work, and really got the better of him in a couple of matchups. The thing is, when you look at the games played for Robinson, it's hard to look at because he's only played in more than 59 games one time in the last 4 seasons. And the best way to predict the future is by looking at the past. And I just don't have the most faith in a guy that played in 30 games this past year, had 2 major ankle injuries and surgeries this past year, and 31 games in 2021 and 59 games in 2020. I think like Begley said, you're going to need to sign a backup center that can start 30 games because Robinson is more likely than not going to miss time. But I want to go back to what I said. If healthy, he can be a solid player. I can never forget what he did against the Cleveland Cavaliers in round 1 of the 2023 playoffs where he outplayed the all-star Jarrett Allen. That Game 5 performance had like 18 rebounds, 11 on the offensive end. He was dominant. His will was inserted on that series. He was a major reason they won. He averaged 6 offensive rebounds to go with 2.2 blocks and 1.2 steals per game. When locked in, when healthy, when engaged, he can make a major impact on winning. There's a lot of ifs. And I don't want to have to ask that many questions regarding my starting center when I have a championship roster ready to compete. I want to go back to this quote from Begley. I think they've also had casual trade talks about some high-salaried veteran centers on the trade market. We've heard the name Alperen Sengun mentioned. Doesn't really necessarily fit this bucket, but I think it does show the Knicks are out and about and trying to find ways to improve this roster. We've heard multiple people bring up Karl-Anthony Towns over the last 12 months. The Knicks are going to be continued to link to center trades until a move is made and they add someone to this roster. Let's quickly go through some players that I think if you add Mitchell Robinson's salary as well as Precious Achiuwa in a sign and trade, that you could look to go out and make a deal for. Randall would obviously have to be involved in a Karl-Anthony Towns trade. CP has brought him up. Multiple people have brought him up. I would keep your eyes on Cat. DeAndre Ayton is another interesting name to monitor, in my opinion. The Portland Trail Blazers just brought in Donovan Clingan. They still have Robert Williams on the roster. Could they be looking to move off of Ayton? I'm not sure, but I would not be shocked if the Knicks placed a call and saw what they could do and make a move with Portland. Brook Lopez is another veteran center that has a high salary. that's been a guy that's been linked to trade rumors. Reports came out of Milwaukee that the Bucks are looking to get back a first-round pick for Brook Lopez. Shoots the ball extremely well from distance, can protect the rim as well, was the Defensive Player of the Year runner-up, I believe, in 2022, 2023. I think the trade, you'd have to get sticky with it and maybe make it a 3-team deal, but a name to monitor. Clint Capela, the big man for the Atlanta Hawks, doesn't necessarily sound like Atlanta is going to deal either him or one of the other centers on their roster, but he's a name that I have heard and one that I will continue to monitor. Jarrett Allen, the big man from Cleveland, that Mitchell Robinson beat up in that matchup, is a name to also monitor. He's been linked to trade rumors throughout the past couple of months. Cleveland could be looking to shake it up as they did bring back Donovan Mitchell. There's been thoughts about moving Mobley to the 5, that Mobley and Allen can't really work together. So definitely Allen makes the list of trade targets for the center position. Nikola Vucevic, the big man in Chicago, the offensively skilled player. He's been a guy that Chicago, I feel like, has been trying to move off of for the better of the past 12 months. Reports came out over the weekend that there's not much of a market for Vucevic when it comes to a trade. And I think you got to ask the question, how low does his value have to get before you think of considering a move for him? Not a terrible player, limited no doubt, not a guy that moves his feet all that well or protects the rim. But when it comes to putting the ball in the basket, he is extremely skilled. He can stretch the floor. He can rebound. I think he's an interesting option if the price is right. And for the price to be right, the New York Knicks wouldn't have to give up much. Zach Collins, the big man from San Antonio, another guy to monitor as they now have Victor Wembanyama on that team. You start to wonder, how much does a $15 million Zach Collins continue to stay in the long-term plans of Greg Popovich and the San Antonio Spurs? What I like most about him is he's got a little Hartenstein in him to where he could be a playmaking guy. He can operate at the top of the key with the ball in his hands and find those backdoor cutters. I think the Knicks really are going to miss that with Hartenstein gone, and they could try to supplement that with Collins. Isaiah Stewart, the sharpshooting big man. I don't even really love saying big man. He does play the 5 and the 4, but he's just 6'8". His ability to shoot, though, is what makes him really intriguing to me. They went and added a couple of big men this offseason. There's been talks that the Pistons could be looking to trade Duren. Not so sure Detroit is set on the roster they have right now, as they try to continue to shuffle it around and find the right players. Stewart could be someone the Knicks are interested in, no doubt. Robert Williams, as well as another name. I've heard Fred Katz bring him up. I've heard Ian Begley bring him up. And Williams, like Robinson, if healthy, can be a major, major impact player. But if healthy. The Knicks also want to have Robert Williams and Mitchell Robinson on this team. I don't see that all that likely. The player I'm most interested in that we're talking about on this screen is Wendell Carter Jr., the big man for the Orlando Magic. Orlando has a surplus of big men. They brought back Wagner for about $11 million. They brought back Batatse for about $9 million. Carter also makes about 12. He gives me vibes of like Al Horford light. He can play on the perimeter. He's a good screen setter. He could shoot the outside shot. He's gotten better there every single season. If the Knicks could pull off a trade for Carter, that is your center of the future. He's had a couple of injury issues in the past, nothing too crazy, but someone that I absolutely would be interested in trading for if Leon Rose could make it happen. What's your confidence level in Mitchell Robinson as the starting center for the New York Knicks? If injuries were off, it'd be an 8. But that's not the way life works. Injuries are on, and so is fatigue. Scale it 1 to 10 for me in the comment section. What's going on with Precious Achiuwa? Let's close the show talking about Precious, the big sneeze, and what his future might be with the New York Knicks. Still a free agent, and like Begley said in the quote that we went to at the top of the show, there continues to be conversations with Achiuwa and the New York Knicks on getting a deal done. But why has a deal not got done? We'll try to break that down. But there's no reason that Achiuwa, unless there's something cooking, should not be a part of this team. He should be. I thought he played pretty well for the New York Knicks. I didn't have many expectations at all for Achiuwa when he did get traded to the Knicks. And the little expectation I had, he surpassed those. A guy that can challenge shots at the rim from the weak side. He plays bigger than he is. I feel like when he's on the floor, you don't feel little. He's also someone that can attack closeouts at a decent level for a big man. Not the outside shooter that a lot of people thought he was going to be coming out of college, but he's someone that's athletic. I think he's got good defensive instincts, and I think someone that's only scratching the surface of the player they can be. I also love that when he had to be thrown into the starting lineup for the New York Knicks, he did a damn good job. He had to start 18 games last year due to injuries. At the 5, at the 4, it did not matter. He produced. He averaged 13 points, 10 rebounds, 4 offensive rebounds per night, while giving you 2 blocks and almost 1.5 steals per game. He's active. He works hard. I feel like he fits the Knicks DNA, and I think that Tom Thibodeau is a fan of his, and there's no reason not to re-sign him. You have his bird rights. You can pay him essentially whatever it costs as long as you're under that second apron to bring him back to this team. He should be on this roster unless a sign and trade is coming. Achiuwa is the best big man left in NBA free agency, and we'll go through the list. It's not pretty. You're not going to want any of these players that are on there, and that's why I'm wondering, like, are the Knicks just sitting on their hands hoping they get Achiuwa for a little bit less money than they want to? I actually don't even think that you can overpay Precious Achiuwa, because you could then just trade him and use that salary in a trade at the trade deadline if you want to move on from him. But he's the best in free agency compared to big men like Bismack Biyombo. It's 2024. Bismack Biyombo should not be in the plans of any NBA team. And that goes for Tristian Thompson as well. I'm not sure if he's a lefty or a righty, or if he knows if he's a lefty or a righty at this point. Tristian Thompson is cooked. He is done, and he will not, hopefully, be a part of the New York Knicks. Boban Marjanovic, the next player that was ranked as the best big men left in free agency. He is a locker room guy at this point. He's there for culture and vibes. He's not there to impact winning on the hardwood. I am good on Boban. Omer Yurtseven. There's a reason that he was cut by the Utah Jazz, right? Like, I think that we've only shown 4 players, but I think at this point everyone understands the big men left in free agency are not all that much of a difference maker. Giles, a player that I thought was going to be a dog coming out of high school, but the injuries have just not let up. They continue to really just knock him out of his game, and it's disappointing. One of the best players in high school basketball when he came out just hasn't been able to stay healthy. None of the options are better. Chimezie Metu, JaVale McGee, Cody Zeller, Mike Muscala, probably the name I'm actually most interested on this list for his ability to shoot the outside shot, and Orlando Robinson. From Biyombo to Thompson, Marjanovic, Yurtseven, Giles, Metu, McGee, Zeller, Muscala, and Robinson. None of these players are really anybody that I want to see wearing a Knicks uniform this year, and none of these solve your backup center issues. Are the Knicks working on a sign-and trade with Precious Achiuwa? I mean, it's July 16th, July 15th. I don't even know what day it is. This video might go out on the 16th, so whatever date it is you're watching it, that's the date this is. But what are we doing here? Why are we not re-signing him? Where there's smoke, there's fire. I think a sign-and trade could be coming. Thing is, Precious doesn't have to agree to a sign-and-trade. Like, if the Knicks want to do a sign-and-trade with the Charlotte Hornets and send Achiuwa to Charlotte, he's a free agent. He has to sign off on going to Charlotte, and I don't think anybody wants to do that. Leon is trying to chef something up. It's so obvious. I don't think you need to be some sort of mind reader or psychic or someone that really is that even plugged into this team. You don't trade the control of 6 first-round picks, then give $212 million Anunoby, then ask Brunson to take a $37 million discount over 3 seasons to not make any other moves. The Knicks are going to do something, whether it be now, whether it's in August, whether it's in October, November, December, January, or the last day that you can make a trade before the NBA trade deadline. The Knicks are trying to do something because their guy, Taj Gibson, he's not a free agent anymore. You can't just call up Taj anymore. He's going to be playing with Charlotte. Maybe he wanted to go there. Maybe I was wrong. Are the Knicks done making moves? What do you think? I just don't understand how you can make all these moves, do all these things to go all in right now and not actually go all in. So I'm going to say yes, or I'm going to say no. I don't think they're done making moves. Yes, they are going to make a move. Make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram at @MarshallGreen_. Let's talk some hoops over there, and let's go Knicks.